Hi, and welcome to a live episode of Marketplace Masters, sponsored by Merchant Spring, your go-to for marketplace analytics. We dive deep into the world of e-commerce, addressing challenges that agencies face in improving performance, and that includes marketplace expansion. I'm your host, Paul Sonneveld, and today we're going to discover the insights, strategies, and opportunities you need to thrive in expanding as a fashion or sports brand in the European marketplace market. I've invited Valerie Dicthl to join us and share her valuable expertise and perspectives on how to achieve this. Allow me to introduce her. Valerie is the founder and owner of Marketplace Uni, an online community and education company focused on brands in the fashion, shoes, sports and accessories and lifestyle industry that offers online live courses for brands and manufacturers who want to sell on European online marketplaces like Zalando, About You, Amazon, and Otto. Valerie is a fashion and online marketplace expert, and from her 13 years of experience in fashion and e-commerce, together with a team, she advises and supports brands that want to sell their product via platforms and teach their employees how to do this profitably and both strategically and with an operational lens. Thank you so much for joining me today on the show, Valerie. It's absolutely fantastic to have you today.
Thank you, Paul, for this great introduction. And I'm really happy to be here. First time in an English live broadcast podcast, because I'm also a podcast host in Germany, but we never do it with a video. So I'm really excited to talk with you today about the marketplace business in Europe and about mainly fashion and sports brands, as this is like my core topic.
Yeah, now look, I'm really excited. I've just come back, as you know, I'm based in Australia, as many of you know, but I've just spent 3 weeks on the road talking to predominantly agencies actually in Germany, France, and the Netherlands, and a little bit of the UK as well. And there's a big theme around next year. And the big theme is, what are the priorities outside Amazon? I think Amazon will remain a really core focus, but as we all know, trading on Amazon is getting tougher. Profitability is harder and tougher. And then I think now more than ever, agencies are looking to other opportunities. What else is out there? Where should they be investing in terms of marketplaces, and maybe where they shouldn't be investing in. So I think it's a really great time that we talk about this. So let's dive straight in. So to start, maybe can you provide some insights into what the current marketplace landscape in Europe actually looks like, specifically for fashion and sports brands? How do you see the market?
Well, so I always try my best to not say like it's dependent on this and that, because this is like mostly the case, to be very honest. So I was a vendor manager myself in the fashion industry of working at Amazon. So I know quite well how like the business changes, how Amazon works with its vendors. Actually, this was one reason why I left the company, because I didn't want to burn my name, because I wanted to stay in the industry. And I really get so many great contacts with like all of the fashion and sports brands. So what I did was like, I changed to the other side, opened the marketplace business for one of my brands, and that's what I mainly did. And then for 5 years now, I'm self-employed, doing consulting for fashion and sports brands. So what we see is like there's a huge change within the marketplace business. So fashion and sports, I would say overall, compared to other categories, they are much more forward in terms of marketplace business, and how adult they are in the marketplace business, I would say, compared, for example, to home and living or do it yourself. I have sometimes the feeling like they are much more upfront. But what I see also is that we have like a huge landscape, and we saw from it's called Marketplace Studie 2022. we saw also the increasing amount of marketplace businesses. So there's like the marketplaces overall are growing. And as you can see here on my overview, it's called the Marketplace Quadrant. Yeah. How is it based? So there was actually no overview about who are relevant marketplaces in our industry. And I thought like, okay, there in this marketplace study, there was mentioned that we had like 140 relevant like marketplaces about selling fashion in Europe. And I was like, yeah, but 140. If someone asked me like, hey, Valerie, we are a fashion brand, we are selling whatever, mainly dresses, where shall we sell our products? And I said like, yeah, I cannot say like, well, at 140 different marketplaces, right? So you have to really be specific about what is your target group, who is like, in which country are those mentioned. And I would say overall, we have 4 big marketplaces. They are mainly based in Germany, but are quite interesting, is mainly Zalando. Zalando is the fashion marketplace in Europe. They are serving 25 different countries, are growing really, really big, like also fashion and sports. This overview is mainly fashion and shoes because we have another one prepared for you also for sports brands. Yeah, we have next to Zalando, we have About You. About You, as you can see here on the quadrant, it's like to get a feeling about how is it structured. We have them from the budget segment on the left side till the luxury and premium segment on the right side, and roughly the base on those there's like the base of this overview is based on my experiences on like the talking with so many different marketplaces, brands, etc. So there's like no direct facts and figures base, I would say, because it's impossible to find out like what Zalando is doing as a marketplace in fashion in Germany, for example, comparing it to whatever. So this is like the main overview. And next to Zalando, I would say there's About You, quite good and quite huge, also serving 22 different countries. Also for fashion, so they are doing a lot with influencers. Zalando is like kind of upgrading to the luxury departments. We have Otto, which is a bit not similar to Amazon, but Otto is also coming from a mail order market. From the past, they had a big catalog, mainly in Germany. So Otto is really true German, but they are also selling many different categories, also fashion. And Amazon, I guess I don't need to explain Amazon what they are doing, right? But Amazon overall is quite huge, even though I would say many fashion brands, they're saying like, we don't want to be at Amazon due to pricing issues, etc., etc. But to be very honest, in 80% of the cases, it's pretty clear that they are already, that their products of them are already there. The question is like, how do you want to be shown as your brand? And do you have like do you have everything in place that you are the leader of your content as well? Or are you like letting your retailers like doing your content and looks like whatever? Yeah, that's, let's say,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Shall we have a quick look at the sports the
Sure.
sports one?
Yeah, the sports one, actually, there's as you can see, there is like a big match between fashion and sports overviews, but there are also other ones added. I would say the biggest newcomer and with the most potential is Decathlon. They are also evolving to many more countries, offering also a fulfillment service. So I would say Decathlon is one really important one. We see that Sprinter in Spain and Portugal is also becoming bigger and bigger because they bought Perry and XT Sport from the Netherlands. So they are like, yeah, getting more reach, I would say. We also have like this part of like this I would say promotional and off price sellers like VP, A Found, Outlet City Metzingen, Private Sports Shop, and for fashion we have also Best Secret there. And then it's also always important to see where you come from. So which country is important for you. For example, Colisée is also quite a new premium sports marketplace. Super interesting from France, but also evolving to Germany, for example. Stadium is more based in Sweden. Then we have also the UK people with like Alltricks and ProDirect. And if you go to the really, really premium part, fashion is Farfetch for fashion as well. And with a sports overview, you have to be aware this is a mixture of sports fashion and sports hardware and hard goods, right? I mean, it's a pretty difficult or different situation if you sell, for example, running gear, compared to a running shirt, right? So there's often a mixture. Some of them are just fashion, some of them are mainly hard goods, some of them are both.
Yeah, which sort of raises an interesting question for me, which is, many brands often debate, like between category relevance and the size of the marketplace. How do you, I mean, this is probably, the question that is really hard to answer without it depends in front of it. But how do you talk to your, the people that are on your course? How do you talk to them about, that trade-off between sort of super specialized, this is where my ideal customer lives, but there's only 100 of them, versus this doesn't really fit me, but there's 1 million customers. Where's that trade-off? How do you think about it?
I would say it's always a mixture. So there is, if you are a brand on like, it's a mixture of like mixing the marketplaces which have like amazing and huge reach, like for example, like Amazon. And then if you have a niche product, then you should also choose niche marketplaces who are fitting to your target group. So what I always say is like, start with your marketplace strategy, with your brand, with your target group, and choose the marketplaces where you want to go. And then you say like, yeah, okay, but then I see like 50 different marketplaces. What shall I choose? I don't have any clue. Get someone who has experience in the market, talk with other brands, who are also, or have a look on those marketplaces. I mean, if you are not totally new to the market, you should have heard already of one of those marketplaces. Mainly, I would say 70% of those marketplaces are also wholesale businesses. So usually the brands know like where they want to go, or what is important. It's important is like, we want to be at, I don't know, Bräuninger in Germany, or we want to be at the Cideon in Sweden, whatever. Or the ASOS is a super new marketplace, by the way. Then it's also dependent on like, is this marketplace also seeing your brand as their target group? Because I could say like, I would love to be at Farfetch, and but if you're not meeting their guidelines and their target group, then they say like no to you, because they are a closed marketplace. So there's also a big differentiation between open and closed marketplaces. So you cannot.
Yeah, so it's actually where I was going next around. If you look at the picture, maybe we should bring up the fashion one again. Maybe just for our audience, particularly those that are just used to Amazon and just going on there and opening an account. Obviously, a bit different on the vendor side, but this concept of open marketplaces versus curated marketplace. Just what does it look like in the context of fashion in particular?
So in fashion, I would say that 80 to 90% of the marketplaces are, how do you say, curated marketplaces? Yeah. So it means that you need to enter this marketplace as a brand. You need to question and to answer. You need to question them like, hey, can we get an approval, a brand approval for our brand? And they do this brand approval by brand approval, sometimes even by country. So it's just to see, for example, Zalando, if you are a key player in Poland, then it's likely that you get a brand permission for Poland. But if they don't see you in, I don't know, Spain or Germany, they don't give you a brand permission for that one. So it becomes even more dedicated. Sometimes even they say like, okay, you are allowed to, I don't know, put 100 different articles on it, but then stop, or from this category or whatever. And then we have, on the other hand, those truly open marketplaces like Amazon, Bol.com from the Netherlands, which is like the Amazon from the Netherlands, I would say. We have Kaufland, we have eMark from the main Eastern Europe, we have Allegro from Poland, or eBay. I guess everyone knows eBay. So they are truly open, and it's easy to sell there. So it should always be a mixture of like we getting the reach, but always choose a marketplace which suits to your brand, because just you have like a premium brand, you don't want to sell your products on price entry. If you have a premium brand selling, I don't know, dresses for 180 euro, then you don't want maybe to put your products on Trendyol, which is for like Trendyol is a new marketplace coming from Turkey, huge, the biggest one in Germany, like coming up, but their price points are mainly till 30 euro maximum for fashion and young fashion. So yeah, there's a mismatch. So you really need to match the target group of the marketplace with your target group. And yeah, based on experiences is what you hear. Also, sometimes you can research about the turnover they do in total. There you can also get a feeling how huge they are or how small they are. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's always, in my experience, has always been a tricky one, because turnover just signals demand, but obviously the curated aspect can really create some great sales because of the lack of competition in some of those.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a follow-up question. Obviously, a lot of listeners or watchers that are tuning in are interested in expansion, right? And often that means, how can I use these marketplaces as leverage to get into another country that I might not be operating in? Now, of course, that's tricky, because a lot of the curated marketplaces basically look at, oh, is your brand known? Are people searching for your brand in a country?
Yeah.
And if not, we won't let you on. However, I have noticed at times, and I guess I'm putting my Australian perspective here, sometimes some of these marketplaces are in growth mode and they're actively recruiting sellers, whereas others are sort of have hit saturation, and it's, unless you're Louis Vuitton, like, you'll never get on there. Which of these marketplaces, from a fashion point of view, and I'm happy to do the same question on sports, like, would you say are really open to bringing on more brands? Like, they're sort of in a build mode. Which ones are kind of more opening to brands that want to expand?
So I would say mainly the newer ones, and then you also have to have a look on who's standing behind them, like where does the money comes from, who is like supporting them. So just like on this overview, ASOS is pretty new, and Best Secret as well. So they opened up this year as a marketplace. They were existing before, but they are super restrictive in putting on new marketplace leads. They are more like, we already have so many wholesale leads, we will ask them before, and then we expand to the marketplace business. What we see for newly who are really interested are Trendyol, for example. And they are also expanding in Europe a lot. Miravia as well. So I see them everywhere, and they are really into getting new sellers. And what's also interesting is that they are really pushing and supporting, and they also have great offers to get onboarded, right? So the commissions are pretty low in the beginning, and they're really supporting the brands also to get reach. To start there. If you take, for example, the sports one, the sports overview, then, for example, what is super interesting here right now, Decathlon as well, because they're really pushing in the market, and Colisée as well, because they are funded from LVMH, and that there's money behind it, and then they have also the push to grow. For example, also in the last 2 years, Yokes from Italy, back again on the fashion one, but Yokes, for example, they also grew a lot in the past 2 years, but also recently popped up. We also have on this page, for example, some marketplaces who are a bit on like the I don't know how long they will survive. For example, Gertz, they went bankrupt and got bought, but we don't know. Galeria is also a bit like so on the edge. So there are some of them like who are like, maybe you find them in my next, you don't find them anymore in my next version of the marketplace quadrant anymore. So I really can update this overview every 2 months or something, and it's everything sometimes changing. It's really insane. Yeah, there's so much
lots of
movement in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's getting into the game, and there's certainly no shortage of options there. Before I move on to my next question, I do want to sort of pause quickly on Shine or Shane. I don't know how it's actually pronounced properly. What's the perspective of that marketplace in Europe? Because obviously in Southeast Asia or in Asia, it's very popular. They're making really big inroads in Mexico and Latin America. What's the European perspective on that marketplace?
Yeah, so their growth numbers are insane. I would say everyone is like looking at it, trying it out somehow, and being a bit like critical about it. Like but it's pretty much depending on the target group or the people you talk to, right? So if we talk about the younger target group and also those people who don't have like the money to buy the really more price intensive products, I would say they are obviously super interested in Shein, and I find it quite impressive how they build it, how fast they are, because they are still shipping from China to Europe and super fast. So it's a bit like, let's see how they do it, what they do, how can they be so crazy fast. And so yeah, this is a bit like, and yeah, obviously we have also the quality topics, but overall it's yeah, it's I think some of them, some of the marketplaces, but also fast fashion brands, they are really anxious about it as well, because there is a pretty big new competitor who's really fast. So I'm curious to see. In terms of marketplace, I would say not so sure if I want to be there as a proper fashion and sports brands. So I would rather choose, for example, Decathlon is also a retailer themselves, right? But I would rather, for example, go to Decathlon or to Zalando or About You, who are like also have like this fashion statement, sports states, and this trust, right? Because at Shein you can buy almost everything already, yeah, and super cheap.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well let's talk some practical things here around expansion. So let's paint a theoretical scenario here. I might be an Amazon brand, fashion brand, or sports brand, and maybe I'm even based in the US, but I've already made it successfully to the UK. I'm operating my Amazon store there. Maybe I'm toying around the idea of going on Amazon Germany, but I'm thinking about what's next. Okay. What are some of the, and obviously it's completely theoretical here, but what are some of the practical entry strategies that such a brand with this context should really consider in order to transition smoothly and profitably, I should say?
Yeah. So yeah, have a strategy in place and really calculate if your business case is profitable or if you need to adjust your products. I mean, you already have proven this via your already existing business, but be aware, Europe is not one country. It's like 27 different countries. I don't know, 20 different languages, sometimes different currencies, borders. So be aware about your logistical part. I would say Zalando, for example, could be very interesting for you as a starting point if you get the brand approval, and then choose your logistic partner wisely. For example, there's something pretty new. It's called Zeos, Zeos. It's the logistics service from Zalando, and they are offering now to ship to your own e-commerce, to About You, to Zalando, and but also to other marketplaces like Amazon. So choose a logistic hub, I would say, if you are new to the continent, and don't do like, because some of the marketplaces, they don't offer fulfillment services. So I would start with the biggest ones, because if you want to grow on Europe, you can expand with Zalando to 26 different countries. Especially if you use their fulfillment services, you can also expand with About You to 25 different countries. So choose bigger partners where you can test the markets. And as soon as you, for example, realized, oh, Netherlands is a great market for us, then you can still go with the country leaders of the marketplace business. For example, with fashion in Netherlands, it would be maybe Wekamp. For kids, it would be Curated. they are belonging to each other, or both, right? So I would further start with the big ones, who's like easy to enter different countries, and then go with the local heroes. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just one follow-up question on fulfillment. If I'm coming from the Amazon world, can I use Amazon Fulfillment Network for some of these fashion marketplaces? A bit like what you're saying about the Zalando Fulfillment Network.
Yeah.
Can I, if I'm already in Amazon FBA and doing a pan-European fulfillment, can I use that for fashion marketplaces?
Yes, there is also multi-channel fulfillment offered from Amazon, but to be honest, I don't know on how many fashion marketplaces there really are connected to. So I know this version from Zalando to the other way around, I would say, but from Amazon to other countries logistical-wise, I'm not quite sure which marketplaces are connected. What you also need to be aware, and this is really, really hard to know, the return rates from Amazon Europe are always much, much lower than compared to Zalando. Zalando Germany has the biggest return rate in whole Europe, I would say, for fashion. So be aware, for example, if you have a return rate of, I don't know, at Amazon at 30%, it could be easily 50 to 60% at Zalando. And this is really, in fact, influencing the profitability of your business case. So be aware of that one. And every country has also different return rates. For example, the French are less, so the Germans are really good in returns and crazy about it. Austria and Switzerland as well. But then if you go up in the other countries around, it's a bit lower. So this is a huge difference, but also the logistic prices are also different in every country. So this makes Europe a bit like spreaded and a bit more complex, I would say, than if you have like US, like with like one language and no borders. Yeah. So it's a really different business, but it's a very interesting one. Yeah, definitely.
So in terms of expanding, you spoke about sort of, maybe start with Zalando and then do more of a country-by-country strategy and look for the local heroes. What are the biggest mistakes that you see fashion and sports brand make as they try and expand in Europe? Where do they trip up?
So the biggest mistake is to start and not calculate the business case. So, or to start with products who have a low average sales price. Just for example, if you have an average sales price below 20 euro and a return rate which is higher than 20-30%, then it's already negative in Europe. So you need to be aware and to adjust your assortments, for example, make multi-pack sets, whatever, or just like put in the higher ASP products. I would say that's mainly a big topic. So have your strategy in place, calculate the case before exactly, and also ask others, like other brands in your industry or who are competitors, whatever. Ask them what is like interesting for you, where were your pitfalls, and also choose a good partner who has that knowledge of the marketplace business in Europe. That's actually what we do mainly with the Marketplace Uni, right? We connect like the different brands with each other. So for example, there's like Lacoste in it, or Odlo, or I don't know, Tamaris, Happy Socks. So we have like plenty of different brands, and I know with whom they are integrated, because you also need an integration, right? So this is like, you need a middleware and you need a middleware and logistics, or a full service partner who does it for you. And also be aware about our different tax systems. So taxations wise, you are also sometimes, depending on where your stock is placed, you are also you need a tax identification number in this specific country. So get some experts on board, I would say, because there are many pitfalls, and that could be pretty bad for you if you just think like, oh, let's do this, and then just don't follow the rules. Could be painful and very cost intensive.
For sure. So a lot of times when we talk about European expansion in particular, we always come to the topic of localization of content and all of that. I have heard, when it comes to fashion in particular, how important is that localization, say vis-a-vis Amazon? Because playing devil's advocate, aren't all fashion shoppers just buying on their mobile and they're just browsing pictures? So how important is it to invest in that local aspect versus maybe what you might do from an Amazon content point of view?
And you mean with localization exactly, Paul? Because like, just to clarify for all of your listeners.
Yeah, sure. I guess in a holistic sense. So let's say I've got content for a UK market, and that's great, and it works on Amazon. And now let's say I want to go to Holland, right? And I do want to go on Bol and some of those other fashion marketplaces. Of course, there's the translation aspect. I understand that, but how far do you go into the localization of the content? And, I'm talking about, do you reshoot photography, lifestyle images with, bridges in Amsterdam with bikes behind it, versus deep keyword optimization, long tail? Like, where do you draw the line? Because it could be like you could spend your whole life doing that, right? So are there some shortcuts is what I'm asking?
Yeah. Well, in terms of Amazon, there is localization, right? In terms of Zalando, for example, you can just mainly put in data in already like drop-down fields. So this is like automatically translated. So you don't have really a big possibility to change anything. They do it for you, despite of the free text and the bullet points. But sometimes even that is like pretty small in the amount. So in terms of like content, different pictures, I would say there's no big difference. So you can use them for all of the European countries. The pictures, you need obviously to fit in the guidelines of the different marketplaces. So every marketplace has different guidelines with like some of them in the fashion industry, they want to have model images, like cut half face, sometimes full face with a different background. So that is like one main part. In terms of content and data, there is not that big difference, despite of currencies, different ones, right? If you go to Switzerland and you have the borders as well. So that is a difference. But in terms of styles, it's often a difference because just to give an example, I worked for the underwear industry and the swimwear industry, and the taste of the different countries is quite different. So if you have like a swimsuit in dark blue, it's great for and a lot of like fabric, because like we have like bigger cap sizes in Germany. They are quite happy in Spain and France if it's more pastel and like super straight and super sexy. Yeah, it's like quite different taste of styles also in the different countries. I think you need to be more aware of like what the taste and the different assortments maybe in the country, also depending on your products, right? But yeah, that's, I think, more changing in terms of the assortment strategy. And we have the return rate behavior per country is also quite different. Yeah.
That's very interesting, because really what you're saying, it's not so much about photography, although you need to do style guides or actually translation. It's actually about individual consumer preferences and actually, maybe featuring a different hero image depending on preferences, or, something as simple as that. Yeah. Awesome. We are out of time, but I'm going to squeeze in one last question, just because we're almost at the end of 2023. Most of us are working very hard to sort of deliver Q4, as we'd like to say. 2024 is around the corner. What do you think we'll see in this space next year? Like, if we were to do this podcast again in 12 months time, what are the things you'd say, look, I predicted that happened, this happened. What are your predictions for 2024? And most importantly, how can the audience play into that and maximize those opportunities?
So I would say the biggest trend or whatever is like, no, it's no trend, because it's still profitability. So the growth declined from the last year, and I really hope, we are knocking on wood, that we get the growth back again, because what we saw really this year was the decrease almost everywhere. So I'm really glad if I would tell you like, oh yeah, we were predicted the growth and it happened. But I would say it's much more about professionalization of your marketplace business, not doing like this blindfold thing. So yeah, really have your strategy in place, follow that one. And also what I think is really, really important, connect yourself with others in your market, even if it's the marketplace itself, but also your competitors or other people from the industry. Connect with them, talk with them, because staying up to date is, I would say, most important, because there's so much changing and like bankruptcies of marketplaces, new marketplaces coming up, and you need to, sometimes there are no facts and figures where you can decide, is this marketplace relevant for me or not? But you can, like, from talks with others who maybe already tried it, then you find really to, the questions you needed and the answers you needed. And get into a community, whatever. So this is what we do with the Marketplace Uni. We like connect those people even more, because your experience is from reading, but also from doing it and learning from others. I would say that's the most important thing.
Excellent. Well, that is a great segue to finish on the question I always finish on, which is for those that are listening live, watching live, or maybe watching this episode on demand afterwards, and they're really interested in maybe talking to you, tapping into your expertise, or maybe talking to you about some of the courses that you run, how do they best get in touch with you?
I would say the easiest way for all of you is going on my website. It's called www.marketplace-uni.com. So marketplaceuni.com. And on the other way, LinkedIn. So you can always follow also the newest update on the marketplace quadrants on my LinkedIn, Valerie Dicthl. And I would love to connect with you there, write with you there, and speak about your current expansion, whatever, connect you with the needed partners. So just let me know and give me a message.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that, Valerie. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so I'm going to have to wrap up, but I really appreciate you coming on the show today. You've brought an enormous amount of expertise, and thank you for even just helping us paint a picture of those hundreds of marketplaces out there. I love those quadrants in the framework, just to help us wrap our minds around what's out there and how do we think about that. So really thank you so much for taking us on that journey and providing some of those really practical tips and considerations along the way as well. Thank you so much. And I look forward to inviting you back on the show in 2024.
Hopefully, yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it was really fun with you. And hope to see you again next year, latest.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
All right. Well, that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found the episode enlightening and giving you some initiatives and thoughts around how you can expand your business into Europe beyond Amazon, particularly if you're a fashion or a sports brand. Now, if you are hungry for more, don't forget to visit our video on demand library on our website for really a treasure trove of insights. And of course, if you're aiming to streamline your analytics to gain sharper insights across many of those marketplaces that Valerie talked about today, make sure you reach out to us and discover how Merchant Spring can really transform your journey on that front. Lastly, I am all ears for what you'd like to hear next. So if you've got a topic or a really burning question, drop me a note on LinkedIn, and I will do my best to try and find a relevant speaker and run an episode for you on that topic. So make sure you share your ideas for future episodes. Until next time, keep thriving and keep innovating. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.